Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the July 15th Mendon Board of Selectmen meeting. Please all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting is being recorded. All 5 members of the select board are in attendance. So I have no members of the board here remotely. And let's move right on to citizen statements and petitions. Does anybody have, come on up, take a seat, right?
You have to forgive me, I prepared a statement. My name's Kathleen, I'm 15 Misco Road. I recently moved here in last October, so I'm a pretty new resident. Yeah, it's wonderful to be here and I'm enjoying myself so far. I have a pretty simple, straightforward statement. I'm here today to propose that the town of Mendon adopt a policy to explicitly state that AI generated materials not be used in any town signage, information online or in print, even promotion or any permanent or temporary displays. This includes text, images, audio, or video prepared using ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude AI, Canva AI, Spotify DJ, DeepSeek, Grok, Google Workspace, Copilot, and many, many, many others. AI use reflects badly on the town. It uses words and images stolen from authors and artists, and it assembles them without any true connection to the town itself. As a result, especially for those who recognize the AI-generated content, it actively deters people from attending, considering, supporting, or interacting with these events or postings in any capacity. Even those who don't immediately recognize it can often tell that something is off. If the town needs promotional or informational content, then the town should consider hiring local talent to produce any graphics, media, or text it needs. This would directly support the tax-paying citizens of Mendon and not the faceless companies that profit from our communities and give nothing back. Using local writers, photographers, and artists brings the community together, and this is much more important than saving a couple of bucks. Thank you very much. That's my statement. You have any questions for me or anything?
There's something that prompted you
Yeah.
to make the statement?
Yeah, there is. The 250th anniversary advertisements, 4th of July advertisements, all of them have been AI generated. It's obvious and it's crass and it hurts. It makes me not want to participate in any capacity, and I know others who feel the same way. Thank you very much.
Right, community events and announcements.
So the 250th mock signing event is August 2nd. So it will happen before our next regularly scheduled meeting. Cultural Council has been putting out a lot of information on it. Joanne Lamoth, who's been chairing this effort, will be on my FM 101.3 shortly to talk about it as well. We've got some donations on the agenda to accept a little bit later. But invite the whole community out. Mock signings here, then there's fireworks and band at the beach later in the evening.
Starts at 12:30 p.m. and mock signing is 3:30 p.m.
And there's trolley rides in between, and the Horribles parade will be part of the festivities.
The time for that yet?
Do you know the time for the Horribles parade?
Changing a little bit, but I believe it's staying the same. It might be changing a little bit.
Okay.
To be incorporated.
So we'll put it out on the town Facebook in advance of that.
Any other announcements? All right. Let's move on to appointments. First one we're going to take is the appointment of the Assistant Town Administrator, Jennifer O'Neill. Do you want to come up, Jen?
Come on up, Jen.
Do we pronounce that properly?
Well, it's actually not my legal name that's on there, but I will.
I have a memo in the packet about this for the board. I'll highlight parts of it before we start. So Jen currently serves as the Human Resources Coordinator, a 24-hour-a-week position. That was eliminated in the fiscal 27 budget. In its stead, we added a 32-hour per week assistant town administrator position, which will continue the employee relations side of HR and also oversee right now departments such as Council on Aging, Library, and Veterans, in addition to helping with townwide projects. So this position was posted both internally and externally, received over 20 applicants, interviewed 3, and Jen was the clear favorite for us. Town clerk Ellen Agro, who chaired the town administrator screening committee when I was hired, participated in the interviews with me. It was a great process. I thank everyone, especially Jen, for their efforts. This position was fully budgeted in the fiscal 27 budget that was recommended by the select board and passed by town meeting. So we have, this is, when did we say it was going to start? Monday? Yeah. next
Oh, well, we said Sunday for the payroll
Sunday, the
purposes.
19th, yeah. Plenty of, she's been functioning in this role. Plenty of budget capabilities here as well. So we'd just be looking for a motion and anything Jen wants to add.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think that the course I took through Suffolk and MMA is going to be really helpful for this. Excited to be working with Jeremy. Of course, he's leaving me as of tomorrow, so that will start in about 6 weeks. But if anyone has any questions for me, happy to answer them.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Okay. Well, how do you plan to liaison the rest of the HR responsibilities with, our next appointee?
So we've already started working on a transition, I guess, and we've carved out some time next week to do training. And I mean, my office is right down the hall from hers, so I think it's going to be a nice, smooth transition. And I'm not going to be going too far.
Well, I can say, Jen, that you were a big help in the transition. While we didn't have a permanent, town administrator, and I also would say that this HR policy that we've been wrangling with literally for a decade, we finally got it done.
And we've sent it out and starting to get all the acknowledgements back. And if people haven't acknowledged it, they'll start getting emails soon.
All right, so
I also want to say, I appreciate the way you really made an effort to get to know all of the town employees, and it's great that you're stepping up into this role because everybody already knows you. And so I think that will make the transition more seamless than having someone who's new to the town.
I hope so.
right. So I'll be looking for a motion.
Move to appoint Jennifer O'Neill to the position of Assistant Town Administrator and the annual salary of $71,000.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
It's unanimous.
Hey,
Great,
welcome
thank you.
aboard again.
Thank you. I will be in the office tomorrow, but still in my HR coordinator capacity, but I will be transitioning on Monday.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jen, do you want a
Would you
photo?
like a photo? We have
I'm good.
a photographer.
No, I'm good. I took my photo earlier. She knows how difficult it is to get my smile.
Paul, you won't get off that easy.
Oh,
No, it's fine.
That seems forced.
all right, I could have the fire chief come on up. We have a next appointment. So we're looking at a promotion of Paul Weston to the position of firefighter paramedic.
So as you know, we added 2 positions this town meeting. We have hired 2. I'll introduce Greg to you all afterwards. Paul will be our 3rd hire. We did have one person leave right before the end of the fiscal year. So Paul comes to us with a lot of EMS training. He is not a firefighter though, so we will be sending him to the fire academy. He currently works for Holliston Fire as a paramedic and the training coordinator, Fall River EMS as a paramedic and training instructor. He's a ACLS and BLS CPR instructor, also a EMS educator, instructor coordinator. So this is Paul. We're excited to.
So did you say Holliston and Fall River?
I said the same thing.
They're right next to each other.
Lives in France. Depends on how which map you look at.
With the interview process, like like I said last time, there was over 40 applicants. We hired 2 internally, and then we went outside to find a paramedic to fill the role, and we both came out on top of the process.
And you mentioned academy. He's going to join the academy?
Yes, so we're looking to get him in probably December to go to the fire academy. Until then, he'll be on a shift with 2 firefighters, so we can work him in as EMS only until
He's
then.
got all those impressive training credentials,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, excellent.
I'm curious, do you see a role for the training experience in this role as?
We currently have a EMS coordinator that fills a lot of the roles, but I'm sure he'll be able to help out with CPR training, ACLS, because we're always looking for people to help out with that.
Excellent.
Well, if there's no other question, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move to appoint Paul Weston to the position of firefighter paramedic at an hourly rate of $34.63, contingent upon the successful completion of all pre-employment requirements, with a start date to be determined by the fire chief.
A second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
You're not getting out of
You want to do his picture, or you want to do everybody together at once?
Actually, yeah, if you want to just hold tight for a minute, then we'll get Chris Jackson.
Yeah, we've got
one more. Fire department.
And that's the last one. So this one, oh, sorry, my comment. Let's see. Notification.
Right. So we have a notification of on-call fire captain Kyle Marsikowitz as an on-call fire deputy chief.
Yeah, so this is notification of promotion because this is an on-call position and the select board's delegated that appointment authority to the town administrator. So I'll let Chief Bangma go a little bit more into what the rationale is and what the change is here.
So when Deputy Ostrowski was promoted to deputy chief, Kyle was also in on that process. Both did very well. It was a very difficult decision for me. Kyle ended up stepping into the vacated captain's position that Pete was in. Since then, he's been basically filling the role as another deputy chief, a lot of administrative duties, a lot of bouncing things off of him. Him and Pete are my sounding board, so it's been good to have him around. I think the right thing to do is give him the appropriate title to the job that he's been doing.
And this was budgeted in the on-call line in the fire department. There's not, sorry, Kyle, it's not a huge difference between the two. So this will be easily absorbed in the fire department budget.
All right. And there's no appointment either, because this is just a notification, because you handle that.
Yep,
under
exactly.
Policy. Right?
Yep.
All right. Congratulations.
Welcome. Congrats.
Thanks for stepping
I
up.
have to brag a little for him, but he did just recently get his master's degree in fire executive leadership and public administration. So
Impressive.
Let's get everybody up here.
Pictures.
Just assuming that's all how much space.
All the short.
That's the Senator Lewis Foundation.
I can't really see you behind.
the reflection of my face, but it's good, all right.
Then I can't see the ground.
You guys gotta step forward.
Maybe have the shortest people like in the front.
Ones that don't want their picture taken.
Yeah.
We're good.
You're welcome.
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, I had one with arms. This one's my bag.
No, you were my sound good. Thank you.
One more thing for us, I'll put up before we head. Last meeting, when we appointed the two career firefighters, Greg wasn't able to attend. This is Greg Malden.
Hey, don't-
Welcome,
Greg.
Welcome. A week and a half now, so, yes. Fantastic. Great to
I'm
have
still here, so we really
Yep.
appreciate it.
All right, that is all.
Thank you, Jason.
Next, we're going to talk about Kat's promotion, change in position.
Yeah, so like I said, the fiscal 27 budget included that 32-hour week human resource or assistant town administrator and eliminated the human resource coordinator. It also added a 16-hour week benefit coordinator. We've advertised, put it out, didn't get a ton of people interested in the 16-hour week benefits coordinators. So Kat said I could take that on, and she's done a great job in her couple of months here. And what this is asking is to add 8 hours to her current 32-hour week schedule to bring her up to 40, and then take on essentially a day's worth of benefits coordination. And as we were talking about it, what the onboarding looks like and what the transition period looks like, it's a pretty big safety net to have the person who used to do it still here and across the hall from you. So Jen will still be here doing her thing too. So that'll be, I think we can ramp Kat up pretty easily, pretty quickly. And then we'll take an additional 4 hours of time and add it to the assistant treasurer collector's position, or just the treasurer collector's office, to do more of the Worcester retirement side of things. So that it's 12 hours out of the budget at 16 at a little bit higher rate than we budgeted for, but it works out a few $100, $2,000 good to the budget generally. So we'll go ahead and make that transfer later in the year to be able to cover for that sort of stuff, but this is already budgeted for. And in both instances, I don't think this is the case, but just to insulate, in both instances, if it didn't work out, right, if you didn't like doing it, if you didn't think you were doing a good job, just not anticipated, right? We can peel those apart. So it's not so hey, there's too much work in the admin assistant, and there's too much to do in a week. We can peel them apart and go and try a new approach. But I'm really excited about this. Excited for Kat to step up. We've talked about kind of what the hours will look like on a weekly basis and how we'll ensure still availability for this sort of stuff. And we'll figure that out as we go. But I'm confident we'll hit a groove pretty quickly.
So that you see the stuff happening in the treasurer's collector office is essentially benefits adjacent.
Yeah, so treasurer collector's office processes payroll. So dealing with the Worcester retirement, on board, kind of off board, processing those monthly retirement sort of stuff. A lot of that, some of that happens through payroll already. This is something that the treasurer collector said when we first budgeted this position. She's like, we could absorb this. Like, we don't need to go out and do it. So it's something that she's been advocating for to save money. So we think we can definitely do it with the 12 hours a week with additional staff.
Treasurer collector's office is already doing part of the Worcester retirement payments on a monthly basis. So this would just be adding more along the lines of the enrollments and anybody who is terminated from the system or retiring. And that's just mostly paperwork sent to Worcester retirement, as well as our 457B and our over through Empower, again, all financial stuff that half of the process is already being done in their office.
Do we handle retiree questions, or does that go directly to Worcester retirement?
For retiree questions for their pension that's paid out,
Yeah.
we're supposed to send them directly to Worcester retirement.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'd be looking for a motion to appoint Kat Stone to the position of Administrative Assistant Benefits Coordinator for 40 hours per week at an hourly rate of $29.25.
So moved.
Second.
A motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Hey,
very much. Very excited.
Roy Crisfield.
Say it's one of the funnest nights of select boarding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we don't usually have sub-point I. on appointments. So this is in kind of in the same vein as what we just talked about in terms of efficiencies through positions with talented internal staff. So Rory currently serves as the assistant town clerk, hired in the stylized and appointed by the board as a municipal clerk, and then appointed to the official role of assistant town clerk by the town clerk. So she functions in that role right now. We've had a vacancy in the admin assistant and inspectional services department, which was previously 30 plus hours. It's been apparent for a little while that there's probably not that much, there's not that many hours worth of work in a regular work week. So we've worked with inspectional services coordinator, Jack McClellan, as well as the folks in his office and then with the union representation, because the inspectional services admin assistant is in the town hall union. To make this a 40-hour-a-week joint position between that admin position and the assistant town clerk. So in the budget, we had and Rory was 19 hours as assistant town clerk. The budget already accounts for benefits for the admin assistant position because the incumbent was full-time and we budgeted for benefits. So this does not create an additional benefited position. It will be 40 hours a week, and the same caveat that I said about peeling the positions apart. So should Rory not like it, should we need to find relieve, we need to find somebody else, we have the ability to peel these positions back apart as needed. The motion on here, it says grade M6 step 5. The executive session later today is to review and possibly approve an MOA for a successor agreement for the town hall union. So absent an agreed unit, I didn't want to put the fiscal 26 rate in here and it be misleading. I don't want to put the fiscal 27 rate in here when it's not agreed to yet. So we've discussed what M6 step 5 means for Rory, and we're all good with that. But that's why this one looks a little bit different here.
Can you clarify about the title? Because will Rory still be assistant town clerk? And how does that fit in?
Yep. So this that's an oversight on my part. This should be stylized the same as Kat's above.
Okay, so like
Inspectional Services Administrative Coordinator / assistant town. Yeah. So please put that in motion. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
What about logistics? Because this is slightly different where inspectional services has a whole different building than the town clerk.
Yep. So what we when we first were thinking moving this to part-time, and same with the benefits coordinator initially, we're like, we are flexible on what the hours can be, but once we have set hours, they need to stay that. So we don't need, and part of the inspectional services admin role is fielding walk-ins, right? Contractors, residents, folks just come in. So it's important for folks to know this office is manned between 8 and 12 every day or whatever it is. So the initial figuring out of that will be between Jack and Ellen and Rory and what makes sense in the workflow. But once we have a set hour, Rory will be in that office for these hours, in this office for these hours. When Ellen's
2 offices.
when the town clerk Ellen is at a conference for a week, right? She'll be in the town clerk the whole week with a little sign up that says go to the town clerk's office for inspectional services stuff. And at the same time too, if the inspectional service coordinator's out and you need to be in the annex building 40 hours a week, same little signs. So they're both team players, and this is a solvable problem for us.
Right. Well,
Roy didn't talk at all. I talked over you all the time. But we're happy to have you on board if you want to.
welcome. Again. So I'd be looking for a motion to appoint Rory Crisfield to the position of Inspectional Services Administrative Assistant and Assistant Town Clerk for 40 hours per week at grade M6, step 5 pay rate with a start date as determined by the town administrator.
So moved.
Second. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Congratulations, Rory.
The start date would be the next payroll period. Would just make it easier on payroll.
Super happy.
Amy, do you want to come up with your?
I appreciate you guys staying back there to clap. That's awesome.
First official act.
Welcome. So this is Shelby.
Shelby Corbin. Yes. She is our chosen candidate for the vacancy in the outreach coordinator's position. She really won me over with her background, her case management, mandated reporting, understanding and experience, and home visits experience and benefits experience as well. So all those things rolled in together. She would need to learn our community and have some training under myself and also the Blackstone Valley public service, public health service coordinator, Jenna. So yeah, we're really excited. She comes with, she calls herself an old soul, but is very, very warm, welcoming. And I feel seniors will really take to that, trust her, and feel comfortable coming to her for assistance. We're just kind of trying to see how her situation might work down at the senior center, and she feels comfortable there. Some of the things that impress.
Can you just talk about what, just for the edification of everybody who's watched this recording or is watching, exactly what the outreach coordinator would do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, that's a very good question, because she understands this type of work. There is no typical day. I mean, I've been in this field for over 30 years, 32 years, and there is no typical day. So you might have your day planned out, but then have to put things on the back burner when something more important is right in front of you. I don't know if you would like to speak to that at all.
I think a good service coordinator can pivot and be whatever that individual needs. You wear many hats in this role, whether it's, being a listening ear, providing validation, and helping them make the best decision for themselves. Whether that's staying in their home and connecting them to home modifications to make sure they're safe at home, making phone calls on their behalf, making sure their health insurance is going through, just kind of,
Like a senior social worker.
Yeah.
I've heard the position described as connecting what's needed and what's available.
There you go. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll have to pivot a lot and think of plan Z. But as long as we keep the progress moving and we're doing everything that we can, I'm happy to try anything and everything. I love making network connections. So I'm really happy to reach out within our own community and see what we can do for each other.
Awesome.
And I would say the interview panel for this was Amy, myself, Jen O'Neill, and our health agent Colleen Straponi. So it was a great set of voices.
The position is 32 hours a week. This would be a Monday through Thursday with some variations. Like for example, we have a senior tea on a Sunday in August, which would be a great opportunity for her to meet a lot of elders. We also have food pantry on one evening a month we're starting, and then we also have it on a Friday. So hopefully she'll be able to be flexible, but for the most part, it'll be Monday through Thursday.
And this is supported 10 hours a week on the formula grant.
I'm sorry, 5
hours a week.
Yes.
5 hours a week. Thank you.
So I'd be looking for a motion to appoint Shelby.
I move to appoint Shelby Corbin to the position of Council on Aging Outreach Coordinator for 32 hours per week at an hourly rate of $25, contingent upon the successful completion of all pre-employment requirements with a start date to be determined.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Look forward to working with the community. Thank you.
Chief Kersey, do you want to talk about the appointment of the new cadet?
Sure. The candidate we had before you was actually one of the finalists for the admin position that we hired in dispatch / entryway room. She was probably the runner-up, I would say. She has a strong interest in law enforcement, great career, just graduated, and thought we'd help her out and get into the cadet program and help her pursue her goal, I think, eventually becoming a police officer.
What do you have cadets do, Chief?
So cadets, a lot of it's community work where it's actually unpaid. They learn about what we do on a regular basis. They help out with community events. And then we do have a pay scale set so they can fill in for prisoner watches. So if we're unable to fill with officers and our backups that we have, then they're eligible to do that. And also if we have shifts that Mark or Mark can't come on the weekend, then they're eligible for weekend shifts. And it kind of gives them a little bit of introduction to the police department, but also an avenue to actually be part of it and be an employee also.
Thanks. Just because this was so much different than the other positions that we had on here, I just wanted to contextualize the hourly rate. That hourly rate is only for very narrow duties as described by the police department, that generally it functions more on an unpaid internship.
I was part of the panel interview. She's fabulous, but she's also been at 2 community events already this week. She was at the Argo Races as well as Read Around Town yesterday at the police station.
Great.
So she's jumped right in.
I'd be looking for an make a motion for an appointment.
I move to appoint Samantha Stevens to the position of police cadet for the Mendon Police Department at an hourly rate of $25.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Tell her welcome aboard. Thanks, Chief.
That's the last appointment.
No, we got to clap for that one.
So we have a vacancy on the Community Preservation Committee, representation from this board with Mike Goddard not running for re-election. We need to reappoint somebody, and I stepped in at the meeting that just happened this week, and apparently I'm going to be appointed to that position permanently. So I certainly don't object, but
The Community Preservation Committee has 7 members. So 1 designated from Concom, 1 from Historical, one member of the Planning Board, 1 member of Land Use, 1 member of Parks Commission, 1 member of the Housing Authority, and then 1 member appointed by the Select Board. So all those other positions aren't appointed by this board, just this.
so if anybody would,
Motions?
yes. anybody would-
I move to appoint Mike Morelli as the Select Board member to the Community Preservation Committee.
Second. That motion been made and seconded.
This is a 3-year appointment. Just
So should I step down and let her run the rest of that motion?
yeah, you can abstain. You can.
Yeah, well, I'm abstaining, but motion been made and seconded, so.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Thank you for stepping up.
Sure.
That's everyone. Yeah, so we've posted the vacancies for committees and commissions. The only competitive one is there are 2 expiring terms on the Conservation Commission, and there are 4 people who are interested in that position. So I've provided a little bit of guidance to the committee on how to operate. I just wanted to share a little bit of that and a little bit of the process. So members will recuse themselves from the process. So the incumbents won't interview the people who are running for their seat for the rest of the committee. Jen O'Neill is going to attend the Conservation Committee meeting next week. We kind of have a framework of questions that we'll ask folks. And then the Conservation Commission will present their recommendations to this board. And then depending on what that is, the process here will either be invite multiple people in, take the recommendations, discuss the recommendations. It's tough to have a next step forward without knowing what the recommendations end up being. One very specific thing I wanted to talk about though, and get your preference as people who do the appointing. So there is 1 member or 1 person who's signified interest in the Conservation Committee, who also signified interest in the Zoning Board of Appeals. And the bylaw does not prevent someone from being on both of those at the same time, but they are both within the project review permitting field. So if this board was uncomfortable having someone on both, I would just like to be able to communicate that to the candidate ahead of time so as to not overly complicate a process. And
Yeah, my sense is I would rather not have more than one person on one board.
You shouldn't introduce gray areas.
And I think some boards that will make the same decisions ultimately, or overlapping decisions that I don't have a problem with people being on multiple boards, but boards that
Well,
decide.
in the same, on the same subject matter where it goes in front of one board and then it goes to the next board. You know, rather than having somebody have two bites at the apple, I think it's better if we can to have separate sets of eyes.
And maybe that could even go to the.
so the bylaw,
Committee, like to see like, okay, was this an oversight? Because it seems like the intention of the bylaw to have select board and planning board members not be appointed to conservation commission or zoning board of appeals was to keep those powers.
right, it did not
separate.
contemplate.
Exactly, right. See that as an oversight.
I think there's a further discussion about, and probably for another time, but also about maybe some sort of cap on the amount of committees that you can be a part of. I would like to throw that out there as a wrench in the
We always,
discussion.
and it had been traditionally just handled by the appointing authority, just making a decision that, you know,
Like,
it's
is
enough.
5 too much? Is 10
Right.
too much? How much is too much?
Is it number of hours? Because there are some committees that meet hardly ever, and then.
Yeah, I don't know what the constructs of the discussion should be, but I do think we should talk about it at some point in time.
Right.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
think all
describe
that
what you
needs to be
don't
brought in.
So could you
I don't disagree.
speak just a little bit to the guidance of not having the sitting board members be like voting, like giving input about
About
the
the,
future of the board?
so they're a 7-member committee with 2 people who are up. The discussion will be who do we want to recommend to continue or to serve in these 2 positions. And I think giving the sitting members an additional avenue and platform for self-advocacy that there are other people who are contending for the spot don't have, does not make it an equal, an equal process. I think, and I told the committee to begin with, like, you really don't even have to interview the incumbents if you don't want to, right? They're like known quantities. If just interview everybody else and then talk. But I thought people evaluating their own successors for recommendation was inappropriate. They don't have to listen to me, but it was the guidance I gave them.
I think it makes sense to have the members of the committee up for appointment not be part of that process. You know, so it kind of levels the playing field. They already have a leg up because they're a known quantity. They've been there for a period of time.
And I mean, you just recused yourself from the vote to appoint you to conservation or community preservation, and I see it kind of in the same thing.
I mean, the issue about not being present, well, everything's a public meeting and it's recorded and broadcast, and you know, but certainly I think it would make sense for whoever the chair is, unless they're up for reappointment, to just, you know, ask the members who are to be appointed not to sit on the board that night and just to sit in the audience.
So that's what I've asked too. I've actually gone a step further for to mirror what we did for parks with lessons learned from planning, which is I asked the chair to ask the other 3 candidates to not be in the room for the evaluation. They are allowed to be. It's an open meeting, but out of kind of a professional courtesy to not sit there and listen to the interview questions before you get the interview questions, to let each person kind of do it on their own. Okay, and the last thing about appointments, we had talked about appointing assistant building inspectors to help with volume. And that's something that historically the building commissioner has appointed. I confirm with council that the chief administrative officer appoints the assistant building inspectors, which is me. So I'm going to work with the inspectional coordinator as well. And again, these are positions that are paid on a marginal inspection basis. So if we have 10 inspectors or 1 inspector, it doesn't matter. It's the number of inspections we do. We're not going to have 10, but
And do you
So
like
they're paid by the inspection, not.
$60
you
per inspection.
appoint them on the fly, or you appoint them in advance and call them out of a queue?
I would appoint them on a fiscal year basis.
Okay.
And then they're on a roster. And then the building inspector can assign,
Whoever-
Joe, you go do this deck, Larry, you go do the pool or whatever. Yeah, that's not something that town administrators previously appointed. It's been the building inspector / commissioner. But we confirmed with MGL that that's the chief administrative officer who appoints the assistants.
We put that in recently in your contract.
And I am the chief administrative officer. So there's a reason for that language.
Anything else on that subject?
That's all.
All right, then let's move on to meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the meeting minutes from June 17th? All right, so if that's the case, I would be, anybody want any changes?
Look good.
Fantastic. Well, then, that's almost disappointing. So,
Start looking harder.
Bring it on.
Start hiding something in there.
thank you, Professor.
Challenge accepted.
A little Easter egg.
All the Lena's vowels will be
Careful what you
consonants.
So I would be looking for a motion to approve the select board meeting minutes for June 17th, 2026.
So moved.
All right, motion made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now we have minutes for circulation from July 1st. Everybody take a look at it. And then let's move on to grants. So thanks for sticking around. So it is the Last Call Foundation grant. What's that about?
So the last call, Peter Ostrowski, Deputy Fire Chief with the Fire Department. The Last Call Foundation was started in memory of firefighter out of Boston, Michael Kennedy, passed away in 2014 at a building fire. Since then, this grant has been provided to fire departments to support his memory in support of initiatives for firefighter safety, wellness, equipment, and training. So every year, twice a year, this grant gets sent out and approved by the board. And thankfully this year we were selected as one of the applicants that got awarded.
How many grants do they give out every year?
I'm not entirely sure on the overall
Have we ever received one before this?
Last Call Foundation now.
Any idea why we got it now?
Never applied for it.
Never applied for it.
There you go. Yep. So the dryer goes along with the gear extractor that we got on a grant from the state earlier this year. So we have a full set of brand new washer and dryer for our turnout gear to make sure that they're washed appropriately and effectively and efficiently. Because right now our washing machine was small and our dryer was really big and not the best for the gear. If you look at it, there's literally an open flame on the back of it. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
The
So
old one was,
You're a firefighter.
yeah, it's fire gear. It shouldn't burn, right?
So this grant, the money's going to be used for a washer and dryer?
Just the dryer.
Just the dryer.
Just the dryer. Yeah, they are.
Did you specify that when you asked for the grant, like that you needed that specific? Is that why it's 17,432?
That is the cost of the dryer.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
When we're reviewing what we needed for the state's gear and equipment process, we saw this as something that we needed. FinCom suggested it to me last year, getting a bigger washing machine for our gear because we could only wash half a set at a time. Now we can wash 6 and dry 6. So
That's
much better.
quite the
Much better
amplitude of
process.
efficiency.
So we were able to get the 15,500 from the state for the washer, and then Peter filled out the application for the Last Call Foundation.
Do you need the board to write any kind of a thank you letter, or have you already done that, or any way we can assist in acknowledging it to them?
I would say probably in the future, something would be, we haven't got the finalized paperwork yet,
Oh,
so
let us
still waiting on all that, but we can
help.
definitely come back if
Acknowledge something, right? So I'd be looking for a motion to accept the grant that's written here.
Move to accept the Last Call Foundation Grant Award in the amount of $17,432 on behalf of the fire department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And then we have a notification of a very technical issue grant to DBT.
Yeah, so this money isn't coming to us and there's no vote here. It's just something that Superintendent Steele had talked about in the budget presentation about career technical initiatives, so BBTI, which is like adult education programs. And this is an $880,000 grant to support those programs.
I did see that there was a mailer. Maybe you guys did too.
Almost the day after I got this, I got a mailer at home for this program. So they're right on.
I mean, they're actually offering training programs, presumably at night, for HVAC and a lot of other building trades. And I can tell you, one of the things I still have is my dad, who worked. He was a molder in the Draper Foundry, and then he went to Valley Tech nights for a decade and learned all about everything from plant maintenance to welding and all of those programs. And I remember talking to Steele's predecessor. He says, "How come you guys don't do that anymore?" And they said, "Well, there wasn't money for it." And then they started it a few years ago, but it looks like they actually, poured some jet fuel on it with close to $1 million.
Yeah, he said that they had more people wanting to be in the program than they had money for.
So just for the folks listening, there's 84 slots in the program for carpentry, automotive collision, automotive technology, culinary arts, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, advanced manufacturing.
Great.
So I got a mailer where I live and I'm not in BVT's service area. So they're even expanding it.
All right. Well, thanks for keeping us up to date. And let's move on to donations.
Yeah, so we've got a couple. The first one, the COA. So the COA, this is just the monthly notification. So I'm just going to go through both the food pantry and the gift account. A number of anonymous donations, and then donations from Ellis O'Donnell, the Mendon Lions Club, the McBee family, which was the proceeds from their yard sale, which I thought was a nice way to turn back into their community. So food pantry donations for the month of June totaled $1,325. And then 2 anonymous donations into the Council on Aging gift account totaling $180. And then Kimball Sand Company donated a couple of tons of stone dust to rehab the bocce court.
Oh, great. It's terrific. You know if did they use the pink clay or is it just gray clay? Do you know?
I do not know.
I haven't seen it.
Either have I.
From pink granite, from the Milford pink granite.
No, it was just and the reason I happen to know that is that our current town moderator built that bocce court as his Eagle Scout project.
Oh, cool.
So it's and they were using it for a while. There were tomato plants or something growing in it, so they hadn't used it for a while. So it's terrific to hear that they're rehabbing it and starting to use it again.
And there were also senior center, that section of the senior center, there were 3 sheds there, not being utilized kind of in the best combination manner. And one of them we were renting. So they went through and evaluated and prioritized, and we were able to get rid of the rented shed now. And,
it's pretty crazy. We were renting a shed.
Yep.
You don't know what.
It's called like a my box. It looks like a pod, one of the storage pod things.
Okay.
And yeah, but we're good.
So we'd be looking for a motion to accept the Council on Aging donations received for the month of June as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have a residual campaign committee fund. What is that?
Yeah, so MGL 55, section 18, it has a residual fund clause. So if you have a campaign account with money left over in it, you can't just do whatever you want with it because folks donated it for a specific campaign purpose. So one of the things that you can do is donate it to the general fund of a city or town. So the campaign to elect Eric Hodge for planning board has a balance of $69.39. Which he is closing the account and donating to the town.
Well, then I would be looking for a motion to accept that $69.39 of residual campaign committee funds to the town of Mendon general fund.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we have $200 donated to the police gift fund.
Yes, this is from Ms. Melanie Smart. And I asked the chief, what's this from? What's this for? Because sometimes out of an action way. And he says she just does it every summer. So she's been donating $200 a year to the Men and Police Department. So thank you, Ms. Smart. So just processing that donation for any use, lawful municipal use for the police department. They have a gift account to receive this sort of thing.
$100 donation to the police gift fund as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A little late, I was thinking.
And next, we have donations for the Mendon Cultural Council for the mock signing event.
Yep. So the Me and Family sponsoring fireworks, $10,000. The Brothers of the Brush, $1,000 for the event. Mendon Lions Club, $500 for the event, and Wiersma Insurance Agency, $250. The Lions Club and the Brothers of the Brush will also be donating their time and some consumables for grilling.
And just before we get into presenting it, just to be sure, the signing is actually taking place
Here,
here.
outside here. We're shutting down here. Be chairs outside. It's happening here. And then later in the day, I don't know the time off the top of my head. Excuse me. Later in the day, there'll be the concert at the beach, which the Cultural Council gets grants through the state that can do things around town. And so they paid for the band that's there. And then there'll be fireworks set off the same place that the fireworks for Rock the Block are previously been set off. So the state has permitted it all. They just need to quickly apply with the fire department, pay for that detail. That's all, all happening.
And what time does it start? It starts here.
You're at 12:30 for trolley rides.
Yeah. So there's two, I believe Rich Schofield is giving
Rich is going to do the trolley. Yeah.
tours. So there'll be two different tours at 12:30 and 1:30. And then the inn will be open with some actors, with some period actors. And then
Parking at the field.
Right, parking across from Clough.
Yep.
And they'll also shuttle people to where they need to go.
exactly. You all are signing, is that right?
Yes.
I will not be. I have a close friend who we've been planning his 60th birthday party that weekend.
Yeah.
For quite some time, unfortunately.
So yeah, that's coming up. It's coming up before the next.
While we're talking about it, did I see that Brian Murray brought a recreation of the original declaration or the Declaration of Independence that was given out to the town? Or
Yep. So there were 351 copies on archival, period, accurate paper given to all members of the House of Representatives to take out to their constituent towns. The town clerk has been in contact with Rep. Murray about this. He was getting it professionally framed, matted, and contextualized with, a plaque or whatever it was. So as of 10 o'clock this morning, we didn't have it, but shortly we will.
You mentioned the other night, he was at boat race as well. The boat race, obviously. So he mentioned the other night that he's waiting for one more piece, and then he's going to bring it into the town.
Yeah, it was well attended. I couldn't find a parking space. I finally got like a half mile away and said, I'm out. So.
I last minute couldn't attend, so Jen judged in my stead yesterday.
Oh, great.
Just as an audience member. I did miss having votes.
You could stay dry.
I did not
Next year,
miss thinking.
next year. Next year we could do a vote.
All right, so before we forget, I need a motion to accept donations totaling $11,750 from the Cultural Council mock signing event as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's talk about the town surplus inventory.
Yeah, so I will share this one. So all property of the town, well, we can't just get rid of stuff. We have to, there's a process throughout it. So our bylaw says, and I'm looking to change this bylaw, but the bylaw says any item which had an initial purchase price, not a current value, but an initial purchase price of $50 or more needs to be declared surplus by the select. I imagine that just wasn't happening, right? Because $50 is a pretty low threshold.
When
So
was this bylaw passed?
1964, 1967, something like that. So I have a suggestion in to raise that to $1,000.
Which is be about what it would be. $50 would be now, probably, right? Sixties, right? Double every 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Roughly.
It's a good way to think about it. So Kat
Doesn't
took on this project to go out to all the departments to say, what is it that you're looking to get rid of?
Was
We
the
have-
police washing machine on here?
The fire department.
Firefighting washing machine?
I don't think
We
so.
did not put the washing machine on it.
Well, they said it had a fire in the back of it, so maybe it's been disposed.
So not everything's on here either. I think because I said I'm looking to up it to 1,000. Some people have the room to like just hang on to stuff. They're like, I'm just gonna wait, or they're just gonna get rid of it and not tell me. So yeah, so some stuff on here, is not, like consumables. We don't like need to put on here. Packaging for stuff we don't need to put on here. But because like these are toners that are for a machine we don't have anymore, and they cost $100, we're supposed to put them in here. So we're also under an obligation to attempt to get value from it. So, when we go and buy a new police cruiser, this board should surplus the police cruiser we're trading in, right? Yeah. And we're under an obligation to not just, like I said, just drive it, leave it in the woods or something. We're under an obligation to try to get. So in that sense, we trade it in.
Right.
There are a number of other things, a number of websites we use to do municipal auctions. We use Municibid. There's a couple of other ones, but we got like $6,000 for the ambulance. Hey, folks online, our computer just crashed. Can you still hear me speak, even though the video is frozen?
We can hear you. I can hear you.
If you just turn on your.
Sorry, did you say something, Chief? I didn't turn. I had my volume muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, great.
Let's just leave your microphone. Continue to watch. He's resetting it for the camera.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue the meeting without the video, but the audio will continue. So let's continue.
Unexpected error.
Yeah, the hardware error.
So that's all the more reason to continue. So do we want to go through the list or can we just go to the motion?
Yeah, so I just want to say this list is not yet, there's a bunch of stuff in yellow at the bottom. I just want to contextualize that too. This is stuff that other departments may want. So what this process also does is say, if council on aging wants to get rid of the bookshelf and, Jen wants a bookshelf, she looks at this list and say, oh, let me take that rather than go out and buy a new. So that's what all these yellow items are here.
So us making this motion basically empower you to take care of that and do whatever is the best use of it.
Yep, exactly.
I'm including the items identified as surplus in this as presented. Surplus property and authorize the town administrator to dispose of the items in accordance with Massachusetts general law and the town's procurement policies.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh. Let's talk about appointment of select board liaison assignments.
Yes, so this is something, I will also share this. This is something we do each year. So I'm not looking for a vote right now. Either a discussion now or Kat, do you have the Excel version of this open?
Yeah.
Okay, so sharing on the screen right now, a list of all the boards and commissions that have a liaison from fiscal 26. Some have a secondary as well. And so we're looking for what the fiscal 27 liaisons should be. There are a number where Mike Goddard was the primary liaison, so we should create a new one there. And if anyone wants to switch out and change, discuss now.
How about if we we take this, everybody had a chance to look or not look? So we have a few that we need to.
Like daughters.
Yep.
All right, well, why don't we, how about if we table this until, our goal setting meeting in 2 weeks? Is
Okay,
that all right?
we'll fill it in.
Can I look at it some more, look at all the ones that list Mike Goddard and see if there are ones that you want to take. I mean, maybe we'll just all take a step back and make you take all of his spots. That's right. But why don't we all look at it and see? So let's just move that table and
Capital Planning, Economic Development, MURSD, and a Recreation Field Study Committee that hasn't met yet.
My daughter and I were switching. I was going to a lot of the May meetings and he was going to some of the subcommittee meetings, especially the budget.
The budget, yeah, Mike and I went to budget a lot. There you go.
All right, can people online hear us? It looks like you can.
Video looks like it's back.
All right. Well, beans, 18 reboots, we're back. Oh, I pressed buttons very well.
No, you press the right.
I pressed the right button, that's correct.
So yeah, I'll update, recirculate, and any changes, let us know.
so we'll move on to the liaison list. We'll bring it up in 2 weeks. And now let's talk about appointing an acting town administrator.
Yeah, so I wrote a memo that says, thank you for appointing Jen O'Neill as the assistant town administrator, which was, it's a little maybe presumptive since that was an agenda item tonight, but I was confident you would. So I probably went to greater pains than I needed to here, but we have a bylaw that's not yet approved by the Attorney General's office. If it was, it would say if there's and I wrote this language specifically because I knew I was going to on a leave and I wanted the bylaw to account for it. So a planned leave, 30 days or greater with a known or anticipated return date, I submit a list and then you guys appoint somebody either from that list or not. But it puts the onus on me or my office to start that process. I only put Jen on the list. Yes. She's the current assistant town administrator, previously served as acting town administrator for 2 weeks in March, as well as human resources coordinator. I'm going to circulate this memo, presuming you vote on tonight, circulate this memo to staff because it also outlines what Jen is responsible for. Approving payroll, signing stuff in my stead on expenditures, coordinating procurement, preparing preliminary special town meeting materials, supervising CAT's day-to-day, assisting in creating the agendas and packets, so working with the chair, fielding constituent and vendor inquiries, which is a deceptively narrow sentence and broad responsibility, facilitating interdepartmental cooperation, continuing all normal assistant town administrator duties. And then I say, the assistant town administrator will have no appointment authority, even in the event that the amended town administrator bylaw is approved by the Attorney General's office in advance of my return to office. And then I have suggested motion language on the bottom as well.
All right.
Any questions for me about the appointment?
Moving forward to it?
Well, it is July and August, so it's kind of quiet around.
Just a quiet,
normal
yeah.
things for
We're
me.
between town meetings. We've already got our budget in. It's not an election. Like if there's,
Labor things.
yeah, it was
Settled.
as bad of timing as my first 2 week spell out was, this is that much better.
Thank you for that.
I would encourage you to reach out to the police chief and the fire chief.
Yes, so I've already.
Keep in
spoken
touch
to
with both of
the police chief. My first call, every time something comes up.
I should have added, Jen and I met, informally a number of times, but met today for an hour or something, going over projects, different things, and she said that exact thing. She's like, I'll make sure that I use my sounding board here before reaching out to you on everything. So yeah, the police chief who took the same municipal leadership program that Jen just graduated from would be a good resource as well.
All right, so I would be looking for a motion as written.
I move to appoint Assistant Town Administrator Jennifer O'Neill as acting town administrator for the period of July 20th, 2026 through August 30th, 2026, with responsibilities outlined in the town administrator's July 15th, 2026 memo.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks.
Now on to your report.
Yes, so talked about this a little before the recording, but just posterity, the mini splits in here that were funded by town meeting are just about up and operational. The ones in the other offices are, and the HVAC company will be back tomorrow to get them fully online. So we'll have heating and cooling in this building, in this room, in these offices. That's a lot quieter than the one window unit. And
Is
then,
there like I think I know my answer, but is there like do you have a building management strategy? I was sort of thinking about this when Mike and I had a meeting downstairs last night. It was 64 degrees and there are 3 thermostats in that room. I don't know what they all do. I knew which one worked on the thing. It was the mobile one. I like, and so we're gonna add heating up here. Like, do we plan on heating with the mini splits? Are we gonna just do it in the shoulder season? So you have to go around to each unit manually and make sure it's at the right temperature, like all that.
there are the headers. There are ones that are connected to the same pump outside. So those function in concert. So like the one in the room downstairs, that really can't function well in heating if the one in my office is not also turned over to heating.
Right.
So there's that like small coordination. I think, yeah, we need to evaluate what's the best way to heat, because we have baseboard heat throughout here. We have, boilers.
Right, like right now, oil probably isn't a great way to heat.
We
So-
still, and I'm assuming we still have these 2 burners downstairs, these 2 furnaces, and one of them doesn't work, or we don't know what it works or what it does, right?
I am not up to speed on that at all. So I can find that out. I don't know.
It's one of those things like, it might be costing us money. They might be fighting each other. Employees might not know how to control the temperature, just like I didn't know how to control the temperature.
I mean,
There's
one
kinda all
bright
that
spot is that at least General actually has something that can give heat in her office.
Yeah, I think it's not an emergency, but it's something, it's like an efficiency thing that you should
But it could really
put an eye on.
the point is spot on with oil. I mean, I just noticed that usually I pre-buy the oil for the season, and I can't. They're not selling it right. They said because it's so volatile,
I have no idea.
which means get ready.
And if it drops, then yeah, maybe we switch back over to oil from electric just to save money. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the management strategy should be, but we probably should have some sort of.
It's own advantage.
Yeah.
And it becomes very challenging when you have so many subdivided spaces, some with their own thermostat, some not. And crossover where someone is closed in, where that thermostat used to close, not have that closed-in space. They got a super really hot space and not so hot.
Right.
And on heat pumps, remember, once you're below 35, they're not very efficient.
No.
In fact, some will lock themselves out and not be able to fight.
I mean, didn't we buy ones that are good to like -30?
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a heat pump in my house that has functioned.
I'm pretty sure we bought the most efficient ones. Yeah, they go down to like 100%, 300% efficiency, so they're less efficient, but they're still more efficient than oil. So it's about money at that point.
It's the aggregation on
Literally my point. I was like, it was
of energy.
late. It was later on my list here, but I'm like, we're talking about energy, so I'll just skip to it now. So we have the Community Choice Power Supply Program. Folks recall in September of 24, we started this program where we do aggregation. It's an opt-out program. So let me back up a little bit. It locks in a electricity supply rate. And then it's an opt-out program. So individuals who got the card to begin with are enrolled unless they say otherwise. If you didn't get a card, that means you have your own third-party supplier that wasn't National Grid, and we gave lots of guidance on that, and we still have some contact information. So this is the card that's going to go out to folks because our last 2-year deal is up in September. We just went into the market now. There's 3 rates here. Optional basic meets the renewable energy requirements. This standard one, this is what folks are placed in unless they say something else, is 10% above the renewable requirement, and then there's one that's 25% above the renewable. So these rates, you see the current rates here at the 14 and 15, and the new rates are what we just negotiated or just were able to receive in the market. And then National Grid's rates are right below it here. Residential is 17.1, and that goes through January.
Good question. So if someone had on the previous municipal sign up gone to one of the other optional tiers, do they continue on that same tier?
Yep. So
That's one thing I was.
you will not have to do anything. If you are in this program, want to continue in this program, you
Do nothing.
do absolutely nothing, and this will auto renew for you. That's different than if you have your own third-party supplier, where when that contract goes out, then you're going to the spot market and you're paying a lot more. But we make sure this, you're not left without supplier coverage. So as you can see, the August through January rate for National Grid is 17 cents, 17.185 cents per kilowatt hour. And even the most expensive one here at 25% above is at 16.99 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's a cost saving, and the idea is to save, there's something in here. The idea is to save money over the course of the program. There are some seasons in which the National Grid rate may be lower. And if you're very attentive to this, you can opt out of the program, go to the National Grid and come back and opt into this program later.
When this indicative pricing came out, I went onto the energy market and looked at this is very competitive. So
Very
I didn't
competitive,
see
yeah.
anything cheaper that didn't involve huge fees, cancellations, or like a base fee that they charge. So
We have a good team about this.
I have a 3-year rate expiring in 5 months, so I just went out to look. This is pretty good. I'm pretty sad because the rate's gonna jump a lot.
The town can be a customer in this program, and the town also get a discount.
Well, I was gonna ask the same question because I just noticed, because I just grabbed that QR code and looked at it. And one of the classes is streetlights.
Yeah, so we have a different rate for that. Yes, I believe the town is in this. Yeah.
But also, we're getting all new streetlights, right?
Yes,
So-
we're active. Yeah, we just sent our thing back to National Grid for that.
That'll save us money.
A lot, yeah.
Do we get the
know
heat
if-
pump rate too? There's a heat pump rate now for
Yeah, I just did it for my own home.
residentials. So I don't know if that applies to commercial or not, or municipal. But it's a good discount during the winter.
And I'm wondering, people who pay for streetlights, because there are some residents that do have streetlight accounts, if they can opt into this program for this, but I'm assuming just ask for the account number, so you should just be able to put
Yeah.
it in. But do you know, how do we find out about switching to the other streetlights? The ones that we're doing, the town is doing, to switch them,
You mean the rate or the physical?
the physical lights.
Well, yeah, we're doing that right now. We just sent in our spreadsheet of our one-to-one, what we're replacing with what. So that's National Grid's executing that now.
It's 4,200 Kelvin, right? Was that the color we chose?
We picked the not garish.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
one?
I don't.
I think it was somewhere in
The
there.
soft.
Softer one, whatever.
Yes. I don't remember which one is which, but yes, we went with the softer one.
That was a fun meeting you missed.
So yeah, it's they cost less to operate, they're more reliable, and they're brighter, and they're all around, and we don't.
Really would help with pedestrians. Yes, that's great.
So yeah, that's a community aggregation. So that the takeaway is if you're in it, you don't have to do anything. If you want to be in it, you'll get this card anyway. You can come to the town administrator's page on the town website, and that links to the program with all the information in it.
But when's the website gonna get the internal website? Because I know our website still hasn't been reached for the last.
Yeah, they're working on, just in this past round of emails, our consultant, Denise, they were working on the promotional materials and the press release and things like that. So as they get those together, we'll just port it right. Because they do it all for us. It's not like I sit there. So yeah, we're past a lot of the education hump from the first time. So this should be. On Monday, I had a department head meeting just to sit with everyone before I was out, go over everything. Elena joined and talked about some goal setting stuff and about getting small working groups together for the town mission statement and to get willing participants who wants input on this. So that was great. In conjunction with that, I sent out a survey to everyone and said, what do you think the select board should focus on for their goals? And then also as part of your own department, what are your goals for fiscal 27? So then the department head and I can have a conversation, right? Because, you know, I haven't read it. The town clerk submitted something, but if the town clerk's goal is to, you know, file and organize and get this whatever thing in better shape in her office, like that's not a select board goal, right? That's just a operational thing. So they're kind of distinct, but I thought it was important to have department head input to you all in part of the discussion. To that end, goal setting meeting on the 29th. So I'll do some facilitation. I'll do some recap on 25 and 26, some facilitation going forward based on this feedback. I plan for it to be in this room. Do you want it in a different room? Do you want it? Because I know we did the retreat after the Collins Center memo over at the police station, just to kind of change it up. My plan was
Do you
here.
want to do up here or do you want to do downstairs?
You can be downstairs. That would be a change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right next to your office.
All right.
Now, will you be here for that?
Yeah, I'll be here. Yep. Kat, did you got that where when we posted the meeting, I posted downstairs. I was on my FM 101.3 on Town Hall Spotlight on Friday. So I chatted a little bit about, and Chris is like, what are your goals for the year? I'm like, well, funny you ask. So I invited everyone to our goal setting meeting. So yeah, so that's why I was just thinking of it now too. I do think for the amount of people that have listened to and
Well, we can always on the fly walk.
Yeah, we can always focus.
Could be the overflowing stuff.
That's true. We could put it right on the screen. That's true.
Yeah, I was listening to it. I was the first listener to their SoundCloud link. And Jen walks in. She's like, oh, you're listening to something. I was like, yeah, myself. Yeah, so that was a little embarrassing.
That's great.
We, as you all are aware, we did headshots today for, again, everyone who wanted it. So I had a local managed photographer who was here for the fire department stuff come in and take photos here, up at the library, and then down at the fire station as well. There's only one council and aging staff here. Amy was the only person here today. So we're going to coordinate when staff's there and when Shelby's on board for her to come back and do that. But it was a project to, I'd like to put them on the town website. The town clerk already has it. Here's the human you're, going to write a mean email to, like it's a real person that's over here. But also like our professional organizations, sometimes do write-ups and stuff and they need a professional headshot, local media, and then folks can use it on their LinkedIn and things like that. So yeah, for a short amount of money, I thought it was a nice to have. Transition meetings.
Appreciate supporting a local photographer.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, it was great. So Kat found her. I hadn't worked with her before. So yeah, that was great. And she was really great to work with. Very great. We picked the day where we have wildfire smoke and it's hazy and all that. So she said it was
better.
She said it was really good.
She got a good eye. She framed everybody with the column by the flag behind it. I thought that was a great.
Good. And then tomorrow's kind of the last day I'll be working and I'll be back August 31st. But tomorrow I have an MMMA meeting in the morning. I wouldn't really like to go to that. I just thought the agenda was interesting about communication and organizational management and the legislative stuff. So I'll be at that in Bridgewater and then back for capital planning. So capital planning meets tomorrow. That's one of the ones where we need a select board liaison. So Mike Goddard used to be the select board liaison and now he's on the committee. So the fire chief, highway superintendent, and I think the parks director, I'm not sure, will all be in attendance to talk about their projects that Capital had questions for. And then council on aging director, Amy, will be there as well. This is in an effort to have the capital cycle line up with the special town meeting cycle. So to have all of their prioritization and analysis done ahead of time before we get free cash certified. And so we're submitting for free cash by September 30th. So I'll have an idea of what it is before that. But I'll come up with kind of approaches as to what we should do with free cash. one of my suggestions is going to be appropriating right back into stabilization to fill the hole that we created in the spring. But then we'll have to look at what capital's prioritization looks like and say, all right, how much do you have to work with here? Do you want to give them $500,000? Do you want to give them 200,000, 700,000? You know, because that'll determine. And then we've got some longer range stuff that we'll talk about related to the shell building, so to speak, on Morrison Drive behind the fire station. So some actionable plans on that as it relates to townwide, you know, facilities, and hopefully making cohabitable spaces. That's all I got.
The first floor renovations.
Oh, right. So the assessor wants a window and wants a little bit more space. The treasurer collector's office is huge for two people. So I have John Dudley go out from Highway and Facilities, go out and get some quotes. It's short money for stuff, so we have it in budget to be able to put a wall up in the middle of the treasurer collector's office to create a front office for the assessor with a window and a back office. Then I'll take where the treasurer collector is, and Kat will come down there. So we'll have like kind of a, yeah, it's nice to not be a flight of stairs away. Although I know when she's coming down the stairs, right?
That's the early warning system.
Kat's coming to see me. And and also there's no like reception, like when you walk in, there's no place for people to land. So they end up in my office, coming around the corner, sticking their head in, like, you know, kind of sheepishly, like, where do I go, sort of thing. So we're trying to help. Kat's also working on some signage, some wayfinding stuff, along with Dylan Lindholm, town planner. And then the treasurer collector will go into my office, or where my office currently is, and where there used to be a window, and they're going to put in a window. To me, too, that also will open up the feel of the first floor.
So where is Kat going to go?
So in the treasurer collector's office right now, the treasurer collector has like an interior office, and there's 2 cubicles.
Yeah.
We're going to put a wall where those cubicles are and put a bigger desk, not a cubicle there. She'll sit there. So it'll be like the interior and exterior office.
Clerk used to be right when you walk in on the left.
Right.
And it's, you know, my door's open, but it's nice to have like the window there. And then like the treasurer collector has those 2 frosted doors, and they're always shut just because the nature of a treasurer collector's office. But you know, when it's our office in there, that'll almost always be open. So I think it'll open up the feel of town hall on the first floor a little bit more. It'll better utilize the space just because that whole treasurer collector's did. Anyway, that's the larger project. They're going to cut the hole in the wall. So in the next 6 weeks, they're going to bring the contractor in, cut the hole in the wall, and then start to move. So I have sticky notes on stuff about what I want to move, what I want to not. So hopefully that'll happen.
That's what I was mentioning before. I have no idea how the HVAC is laid out there, but when you throw up full size walls, you start posing shape, and it can create, we're like, I'm dying in here. I have no air conditioning, and the person's freezing. You just got to make sure you look at how that's laid out.
So that happened in this front office last winter, in that I hadn't, so the zone for the baseboard heat is my office and this office. And I had the heat pump going to heat. So my office stayed at 70 and up here got frozen.
You just have to,
The baseboard heat wasn't on and they're done. So, yeah, we learned that once. We'll see how many more times we do it. The short answer is hopefully in the next 6 weeks.
Great. So we have same future agenda items last time, paddock property status. Anyway, I think the community preservation group plans to talk about that. And then financial policies, where are we at with that?
Yeah, I've worked on them. I've gotten 2 more done.
That's great.
It
That's
takes
another one that's been lingering since.
Yeah, I took our accountants kind of stock ones, took ones that the Division of Local Services did for other communities and pushed together. And it's just really slow trudging for me. And then I need to get feedback from the treasurer collector, from the assessor, from the accountant before I like bring it here and say, this is what we want to do. And it's just been, it has been deprioritized.
Does it make any sense in your absence for 6 weeks to take the 3 you just mentioned and Jen and just tell them while I'm gone, why don't you come up with a proposal and give them marching orders? You can't tell, it's something that kind of bugs me, that, you know, Because I know in some of the audits we've had, that question has been brought up multiple times about it. It would be great to actually get them solidified.
Yeah, so
You
let's,
put together a really good team of people and let them jump through it.
yeah, I have a number of them written. So yeah, we can circulate those. I'll have to find out my,
It's just a thought.
No. It makes sense, just because we have, that's the operations. So we've got policies and then we've got kind of operations, like a procedure. So we kind of separate policies and procedures. And procedures I wouldn't bring here because it's like how you submit a voucher.
100%, right.
But it's the policies.
Right. You know, not how you get reimbursed, but what does get reimbursed.
Exactly. Yep. And we reference the reimbursement policy actually in one of our union contracts. So the union keeps saying, can I see the policy? Can I see the policy?
Not the first time I heard that.
I might have also said those words.
Okay, and then Crook Cemetery. Maybe we can pick a day to have a meeting, even if we have nothing to do except introduce the members of the community, because somebody's donated money and asked me again 2 weeks ago, when are we gonna meet and talk about this? So. Be great to just schedule a meeting.
We'll circulate some dates.
Great. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
The end of the month it's one of those rare third meeting in the month, right? To do goal setting, right?
Yep. Yeah, there's 5 Wednesdays. So we're able to squeeze it in.
And then we've got 2 in August, the 5th and the 19th.
Yeah, so the 29th and the 5th are back-to-back weeks.
And at this point, I'm going to move to go into executive session and we will not be returning. So at this point, I'm going to move that the select board enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. The select board will not return to open session and will adjourn directly from executive session. Roll call vote, Morale, aye.
Your side.
Chanel, I.
Morford, aye.
Cooter, aye.
Everybody have a good night.
Great night, everyone.